Hello everybody, it's Chibi, and today is going to be an anime review on Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, and I just want to say, that ending, that cliffhanger is a bitch. Oh my god. Yeah, of course, they end it. Archer pops up, you see Castor being all Castor-like, as usual, and you see how the theme song of Archer's playing, you hear the badass music, you see the bow of Archer just getting ready, and all of a sudden they fucking end it. I'm like, you fucking dicks, you fucking dicks, like, all good anime this week have ended on a cliffhanger. Seriously. I really, really hate cliffhangers. But it gets me hot. It gets me hot for the next episode. But anyways, this week's episode of Fate Stay Night. There is a lot going down in this episode. One of the major things I want to discuss is Archer's viewpoint on servants and masters. That right there at the beginning of the episode. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, so Archer says that he thinks all servants, like for instance, he says it to himself, he's pretty much denouncing himself, he's saying it to himself. He says that all servants are tools, that's what he is saying. Tools, weapons, instruments for the master to use. They don't have free will. That's what he said in the beginning of this episode when he was talking to Emiya. I'm like, oh my god, dude, just see the perspective of Archer's viewpoint on a servant and master. I'm like, damn, he knows he's a tool, but he's been brought back and he really can't resist the master. He's just a being brought back that's forced to do the bidding of his master, and the fucked up part of it is that these people, these servants that, get brought back, they have past regrets, past memories, different things that make them want to have a wish from the Holy Grail and different stuff like that. But it's fucked up because when they have these regrets, they're brought back to be used by these humans, these masters, to kill each other. So yeah, if you look at that perspective, it's really messed up finding out how technically servants feel. And that's the viewpoint of Archer when he looks at servants and masters. And you see that opens up your eyes of how servants really feel. I mean, imagine how some of these servants feel being brought back and they want, like, their wishes granted by the Grail. They have regrets that they had in their previous life, stuff like that. And they're forced to come back from the dead just to serve this person. Just this random human when you come back. So yeah, I can understand why technically Archer feels that way, but it's sad. It's a tragic story, honestly, of servants. So anyways, moving past that entire scene, I want to compliment Emiya real quick, okay? I really want to compliment Emiya on something. Beginning of this episode, right when it started, Emiya detected Archer invisible. He detected Archer that was in the shadows, hidden. Emiya actually detected that, and he is like a novice mage, or how so many other people have said, he can't even be considered a novice or a mage because he doesn't have any blood on his hands, he's not a stern mage, he doesn't have a stern teacher, stuff like that. Like for instance in this episode, Archer talks to Emiya and says, you're worse than a novice mage, you don't even have blood on your hands, you're not like a cold-hearted mage and stuff like that, pretty much putting Emiya down because he doesn't have any blood on his hands. And to find that out, once again, Emiya's just being casted out and just been told that he's a bad mage. And the thing is, I just got a lot of respect for Emiya because he was actually able to do certain things in this episode that was just interesting. Detected Archer for one thing. Archer was trying to hide and he was escorting Emiya. And Emiya, of course, sensed his, like, hostility towards him, but I mean, still, that's a servant that's invisible. That's pretty impressive. And then Emiya was able to detect the different, like, magic seals all over the school. Like, he was able to detect them, and he was able to, like, use his trace on, like, when he put his hand on the bookshelf, he knew what was there behind it. So it just shows you that he's very skilled at noticing things that regular people probably wouldn't notice. So I want to compliment Emiya on that aspect real quick. Now, the one thing I want to say about this episode, there's other couple of aspects that we get to find out about. For one thing, we get more in-depth look at Emiya's power, his trace-on power, or his strengthening magic he uses. We get more in-depth with his power. He actually looks at the object. Let's say he's looking at a rock, okay? He's got a fucking rock, and he's about to use his strengthening power on it. Pretty much, what he does is he actually looks at the components inside of it. He has to really know what the components inside that makes up this rock, and he actually strengthens it. And there's different ways of his strengthening magic actually works on. For instance, if you put it to a bulb, the bulb would, like, glow brighter. Put it to a rock, it's harder, stuff like that. So, strengthening just increases the properties of certain objects, and it's really interesting finding out exactly how Trace On really works to Emiya, and I'm glad the overall writers that's, doing the anime decided to put something like this in for we can all understand how his ability actually works. And, I mean, I wonder exactly what he could possibly do in the future. I mean, he's been training this, as he said, daily. He's been using this ability daily, trying to get better at it, and it's his only form of magic he knows how to use. So, of course, this ability, the strengthening magic has to be somewhat useful in this Holy Grail War. It has to be somewhat useful. I mean, look, this dude was fighting fucking a servant last week. He was fighting fucking the last female servant. Oh, yeah, speaking of the female servant, it couldn't possibly be Assassin or Caster. You want to know why? Because in this episode, we actually see Caster and we see Assassin. They reveal who they are, what servant class they are. So, the last week's person we saw was definitely not Assassin or Caster. So, it was definitely a different servant. So, what type of servant it is? It's not Berserker. It's not Saber. It's not Archer. And then you got, let's see, you got Assassin, you got Caster. We already seen Lancer, so the only one that's left, that would probably be Ryder then. So yeah, that's Ryder. So that female we saw last week was definitely Ryder. So anyways, moving past that point, going back on track, Emiya was fighting a servant with his strengthening magic. I mean, he barely held up, but I mean, he was fighting. Along with fighting Lancer, too. I mean, when he had his defense fighting Lancer, or when he was fighting Rin last episode. So, it shows that Emiya, his strengthening magic isn't that useless. It actually is important, and it can be used in different situations. How he, made a shield, how he made a fucking paper shield to block Lancer, different stuff like that. So, it clearly shows that if he continues to use his magic, he might figure out certain ways to actually make it of major use. Now, moving past the aspect of Emiya, let's go into the different parts. We find out that Shinji, he is a master. We find out he is actually a master. So, this right here, I'm just going to take a quick guess, okay? I'm taking a guess. I don't remember exactly who he has as a servant. I don't. But there's only two possible explanations who he has as a servant. Either Lancer or Caster. I want to say it right now. It's either Lancer or Caster. That's all where my senses are detecting. It's Caster or it's Lancer. Because, thinking about it, Shinji reminds me a lot of the main master of the previous Lancer. That's exactly what Shinji reminds me of. The previous master of the old Lancer from Fate Zero, he had a personality kind of like Shinji. And so, yeah, I personally am almost 100% certain that Shinji is the master of Lancer. And if not, most likely it's Caster because, Caster's been going around draining mana out of different people, for instance, getting their magic. Overall, Caster was just trying to get stronger. And I mean, since technically you have it to where Shinji was playing around with a bunch of girls, and then you have a bunch of these girls going into comatose states and stuff, so yeah, clearly it's either Caster or it's Lancer. But anyways, besides that, Shinji, he's a dick. I hate him. I fucking hate him so much. I mean, I really dislike him. He just, yeah. You can get off the bat and say he's a coward. He's just a fucking coward. That's what I want to say right now. Because he was sitting there and he said that he let the girl that got abducted last week that nobody could find, pretty much, she was just found in the middle of an alleyway, ripped up, torn up, and the way he was trying to make it sound in this episode was that she got raped. That's pretty much what he was trying to point it towards. The main thing is this dude is nasty. He had a servant do shit like this, and he didn't give a damn. So yeah, clearly, Shinji just needs to fucking die. So Emiya is getting training from Saber. That's pretty impressive. I mean, we gotta think about this in a different perspective, okay? King Arthur is training Emiya how to use a sword, or how to fight with a sword. Oh, damn. Just imagine where this is going, okay? I mean, you have it to where Emiya is learning actually how to fight from someone like Saber. That's a fucking badass. Oh my god. This is the person that fought Berserker a couple episodes back, and Emiya is learning how to fight from her. So, pretty impressive. I want to say I like that. I love the development Emiya is getting in Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, because he is just progressing as a very good character. Oh my god, I love his character so much. The way he's getting built up, the way we're finding out more about his ideals, his ideology, finding out more about how he fights, more about his magic. I just love how he is getting so developed in these past couple episodes. And I just wanted to mention that since he's training from Saber, that means that maybe, eventually, since he already has shown that he could fight somewhat a servant, for instance, Lancer and, I'm guessing, Ryder, what if he trains from Saber, he definitely will stand a fucking chance then. I'm just gonna say it right now, because, I mean, if he actually does get some legit sword skills to stand his ground, he will be a badass. I will say it right now. Now, moving past that, there's one other thing I want to bring up. Archer. Archer reveals a little bit of information about himself in this episode, and I actually want to cover that. Archer, at the beginning of this episode, says that usually, you know, heroic spirits, they die with regrets, and they want a wish fulfilled. That's usually how the majority of servants are summoned for the Holy Grail War. Well, Archer states to Emion, it says that before he became a heroic spirit, when he lived, he said he got his dream. He had completed his goal, he finished his dream, he died, and he became a heroic spirit. Pretty much, he got his wish, he died, became a heroic spirit. He got everything he wanted, and he died with no regrets. Archer did that. So, with this aspect, we find out a little bit more into Archer's character, which makes me question a lot of things. Why would someone like Archer be summoned? Usually the servants get summoned because they want a wish. And to see how Archer was summoned, even though he doesn't want to wish, he just wants to win, like Ren said a couple episodes back, it's intriguing. I like this. And, I mean, it proves a couple of things, too, actually. I mean, I remember a couple episodes ago, like, right when it began, like, the first episode, like, episode 0, I remember Archer stating to Rin that he had no memories. He could not remember what was going on in the past. I remember that. I remember Archer saying that specifically. And what's weird is, from what he says in this episode, it sounds like he actually remembers what is going on. That's strange, if you think about it, because like I said, episode 0, he said he had no memories. I couldn't remember. And then in this, he said that he remembered how he died, he got his wish granted, he died, became a heroic spirit. So, yeah, something's not adding up there. He's definitely gotten his memories quite recently. But overall, this is going to conclude my review of Fate Stay Night Unlimited Budget Works this week. A wonderful episode of Fate Stay Night. I want to say it right now, fucking wonderful. Great character development, great characterization, great reveals, great setup. It was a wonderful episode. And the animation, as always, you know how I feel about it. I mean, insta fucking 10 out of 10 for animation. So, yeah. You all have a wonderful day or night, wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.